All right, what's going on, guys? Today I want to answer the question, do I need to warm up Klaviyo? So let's dive in. Basically, my name is actually from the founder of ZHS Ecom, which is an email and SMS agency that's currently helping our clients do about $2 million per month from email and SMS, these two channels alone. So we've gone through the warm-up process so many dozens of times, it's not even, I can't even count. So why does warming up matter? So warming up your sending infrastructure trains inbox providers, so Outlook, Google, Hotmail, to view you as a good sender. And it's essential anytime that you move to a new ESP. So there's a couple cases that are going to determine whether you need to warm up. If you're an existing Klaviyo customer moving to a branded sending domain, then no, you don't need to warm up just so long as your domain has been registered in the last 30 days, for at least 30 days, and you've used this domain to send emails in the last 30 days with Klaviyo or another ESP. So that's the case where you don't need to warm up. Now, if you're a new Klaviyo customer, then yes, you need to warm up. Or if you have a new domain, then yes, you need to warm up. Now, if you fall into these two categories, there's two different warming processes that you need to know about. So if you do have open or click data already, then you'll follow the standard warming process. If you don't have open or click data, you need to follow the platform introduction process. We're going to go through both. So just to reiterate, if you're a new Klaviyo customer at all, you still need to always warm up in Klaviyo. Even if you're sending 1 million emails per day on MailChimp or another ESP, you need to warm up on Klaviyo still. Now, if you're using Klaviyo, but you have a new domain, you'll still need to warm up within Klaviyo. So that's these two cases here. Here's the standard warming process. This is only if you have open or click data already. That's this case. So first, you need to migrate your engagement data. So if you're moving from another email service provider, you need to import your open or click data into Klaviyo. Now, you're going to rely on Klaviyo's guides for migrating your data over from MailChimp, ListTrack, SailThrough, Salesforce, whatever it is, so that you can get those open and clicks in there. So definitely reach out to Klaviyo support for help with that, or look up, guide for importing MailChimp data or guide to importing ListTrack data, whatever it is. It's going to depend, but you need to get that open and click data into Klaviyo. So just do a quick Google search or get help from someone like myself or Klaviyo support. Now, create engagement segments for sending campaigns. So you're going to create 30-day engaged segments, 60-day engaged segments, 90-day engaged segment, 120 and 180-day engaged segment. For example, this is how we create the 90-day engaged. It's just person can receive email marketing because they subscribed, and then they either opened or clicked more than 0 times in the last 90 days. And of course, if you wanted to change this from 90 to 30, all you do is you change out these values here from 90 to 30. Super simple. All right, so now that you have your engagement segments created, it's now time to send your first campaign. So what Klaviyo recommends is sending to anyone who's engaged in the last 30 days or who has subscribed to your newsletter within the last 15 days. So you can do something similar here. This screenshot is just people who have clicked in the last 30 days. You can also add opens in here. So again, this is person can or cannot receive email marketing. They can receive email marketing because they subscribed and they've clicked in the last 30 days and they were added to the newsletter in the last 15 days. All right, and then you could also add in there clicked or open if you want to. They have it just on clicked, but you can also add opens. For your first campaign, Klaviyo recommends that you send to less than 10K recipients. If your 30-day engagement segment results in more than 10K recipients, then you could do any of the three options here. Basically, you can use smart send times to divide up your sends to make it less than 10K each. You can use batch sending, or you can take random samples of the engagement segment to break into smaller groups. I gave more details here, but this video would be 45 minutes long if I went into every single little detail. So you can look up further guides on how to do each of these three. All right, now with the warming process, this is the overview. First, you need to send your first email. You're aiming for open rates above 30%. Now, within weeks 1 to 2, you're going to look at your 30-day engage. That's who you need to be sending to, and you need to be monitoring your open rates. Ideally, they're going to be increasing over time. And you want to ask yourself, are open rates above 20%? If so, you can start sending to the 60-day engage during weeks 3 and 4. If not, you want to continue with the 30-day engage. So basically, you're ramping up here. You're making sure you're getting above 20% and then expanding to the engagement segment. So you're sending to more people who are potentially less engaged, but you're still looking for open rates above 20%. Weeks 3 to 4, you send to the 60-day engaged. And then again, after week 4, you ask yourself, are open rates above 20%? If so, you can go to the 90-day engaged. If not, continue with the 60-day engaged until you get them above 20%. And then weeks 5 through 6, you'll be at around the 90-day engaged. And then after these 2 weeks, you'll ask yourself, are open rates still above 20%? Then you can move up again. You can kind of continue this strategy for 2 weeks at a time until you hit a sweet spot. Ideally, that sweet spot is somewhere between the 90 and 180-day engaged segment, and you're going to want to aim for 30 to 40% open rates. That's generally where we're sending engaged segments. That's generally where we try to hit. So you can kind of adjust your engaged segments to really hit that sweet spot and get to as big of a group as possible, but still getting great engagement. All right. Now that you've really nailed down the campaigns, it's time to turn on your flows if they're not on yet. So you want to look at your most highly engaging, high converting flows, high engaging flows. Typically, it's going to be your welcome series, your abandonment flows, especially the cart and checkout abandonment, as well as the browse abandonment. These are going to be the highest engaging flows by far. And Klaviyo designates a flow to be high converting if open rates are above 40%, click rates are above 1%, unsubscribe rates and spam complaint rates are below 0.1%. So you want to turn on your best flows first. And if you don't have high performing flows, this is the schedule that Klaviyo recommends here. Welcome series, turning that on 2 weeks after 2 weeks of sending campaigns, abandoned cart and checkout after 30 days of sending campaigns, and then browse abandonment after 30 to 60 days of sending campaigns. These flows, on the other hand, the win back, sunset, and re-engagement, any of these types of flows that are meant for people who are not high converting people and who are not high engagers, these are going to be lower engagement, and Klaviyo does not recommend turning these on immediately. You really want to wait for these because they're just going to be lower performers on average. All right, the platform introduction process. So this is the process for anyone who can't use the standard warming, which is what we just went over previously, because they don't have open or click data. So during this process, you'll basically want to figure out how many emails you plan on sending per week ahead of time. So you want to think, am I sending daily, and am I sending once, twice, or 3 times per week? So 2 important terms to understand. You're basically going to follow this process according to these 2 terms. So you need to look at your daily subscriber volume, max, and then suggested engagement to use. So these are 2 terms. Basically, you just follow this chart. So you look at, week 1 and weekly subscriber volume max and suggested engagement to use. And you go to week 1, week 2, week 3, and you just follow this, and you can use Klaviyo's guide here for the rest of weeks 4 through 8. So I'm going to go through and explain this table, but literally all you're doing is following this table. It's relatively simple here. So daily subscriber volume max is just what's the maximum number of people that you should be emailing during each day of the period, or during each send. So as you can see here, if you're trying to send daily emails, day 1, you go to 2K people. Day 2, you go to 4K people. Day 3, you go to 8K. Day 4, you go to 12K. And that's just how you ramp up if you're doing daily sends. Now, if you're doing weekly emails, basically on week 1, if you're sending 3 times per week, you go 2, 4, 8K. If you're sending twice per week, you go 2 to 4K. If you're sending 1 time per week during week 1, you send to 2K people. And then if on week 2, if you're sending 3 times per week, you go 14, 21, and then you're ready to send at full volume. If you're sending twice per week, Then you go 8, 14. If you're sending one time per week, as you can see, like if you're sending one time per week, you're ramping up slower. If you're sending twice per week, you're ramping up faster. If you're sending 3 times per week, you're ramping up the fastest. So basically this is just saying like what's the max number of people that you should be sending, and it goes all the way to week 8. Now that's daily subscriber volume max. So again, it's just how many people you should send during the warm-up period. Suggested engagement to use. So this is a bit weirdly worded, but basically it's saying like what segment of people should we try to be sending to, and it's like what's the engagement segment that we're trying to send to here. So for example, if you're trying to do daily emails, you go 2, 4, 8, 12K on days 1 through 4, and you can go clicks in the last 30 days. You basically use this segment as your guide. If clicks in the last 30 days is more than 2K people, you just want to cut that down. So you might just choose people like clicks from the last 15 days. I'll get to that a little bit more in a second, but this is just like what to start out with. I would go more off of this left column here is my recommendation. The suggested engagement to use is more of a guide. It's a bit hard because clicks from the last 30 days, it's going to be 2K, 4K, 8K people. And so you might have to make this like clicks from the last 7 days, then the last 10 days, then the last 14 days, so that you're under these basically. But these are the max. And if you're going to go over, you'll want to cut it down, as I said. So basically you can use this chart here and mostly go off the left side here. Just make sure you're under this, and you can use Klaviyo's guide here. I had a link. This document, by the way, will be in the description. And then, so yeah, again, if the suggested engagement group is higher than the daily subscriber volume max. So for example, if you have 10K people who clicked in the last 30 days, but the max volume is 2K, you just want to segment out the top 2,000 most engaged subscribers. So instead of last 30 days here, use the last 15. So again, these on the side here are just a recommendation of how you can kind of increase or decrease, or like generally what you should be going for in terms of the segment that will hopefully stay under here. Again, a bit complicated of a process, so reach out to someone like myself or to Klaviyo support to really give you like a customized solution. They're always great with that. Awesome. All right. So at this point, basically, if you're running a D2C e-commerce brand, you have 2 different options. Option 1 is you can try to implement everything that I talked about in this video by yourself. Again, there's a lot of nuances. There's a lot of things that are really specific to your case. And it honestly does take an expert a lot of times to try and figure this all out and really implement the best practices, especially if you have a massive list and it's very difficult to do all these things. You probably don't want to try to figure it out on your own. So that's why instead you can hire an agency like myself, CHS Ecom, to help you add revenue, figure this all out for you, and do that. So, do that everything completely done for you. So our recommendation is to check out zhs-ecom.com and book a call there so we can talk about how to create a win-win partnership. Hope you have an awesome rest of your day and hope this was extremely valuable.